see that I'm going through. And you are live. What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Wow, awesome. Ooh, second live on the second day. Thank you, guys. As I wait for a couple of guys to come in. As I wait for my guest. This is Gideon. This is gonna be my second live. I'm really excited to for this amazing interview that is gonna be having with the Kia Wakesho. Though I'm gonna let her to introduce herself as we wait for her to enter the chat. My name is Gideon. This is living in Eka living in Eka living in Kenya, where we talk about anything and everything living in Kenya. So guys, if you guys are looking for, I can see Wakesho is already on the videos, but in case you guys are interested in someone to look for accommodation or anything real estate, kind of reach out to me. Let me introduce Simmons Wakesho. Let me add Simmons. You can say she's trying to. Simmons, they're waiting for you. Awesome. Hi, how are you? You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. I can hear you too. Welcome, Akesha. How are you?
I am good. I am good.
Yes, I'm really excited for this.
I
What's the
don't know
time
if
there,
I'm
if I may ask?
delaying.
What's the time there?
It's 12 p.m. noon.
Oh,
It's
oh,
lunchtime.
it's lunchtime, yeah? All right, awesome. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
just step on right on it. I'm gonna ask the first question. Uh, Kindly just tell us, introduce yourself and your journey as Traverse culture. What is that? Who is Kia Simmons? And I'd like also to know your name and the background of your African name, plus the background of your company, Traverse Culture.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So, yeah, my name is Kia Simmons. I take on my Kenyan name that was given to me about 13 years ago when I started my
Mhm.
journey to Kenya. Um,
Yes.
I am the CEO and founder of Traverse Culture. I owned a company
Mhm.
before Traverse Culture Worldviews,
Yes.
and we rebranded last year
Yes.
to Traverse Culture. So we are a travel concierge company that specializes in humanitarian work, relocation assistance,
Yes.
business development,
Yes.
real estate development, and
All right.
now medical tourism. We are
Medical
based
tourism.
out of the US, but we do have our
Mhm.
international office in Nairobi, Kenya,
Yes.
where I have
Yes.
a brick and mortar. We have a team of 6 to 12 employees that has been
Yes.
with me for the last 5 years. Um,
Yes.
and I am ex military. I've
Wow.
traveled to about 45 countries in the world outside of the military, and I've lived in 8 countries, including Kenya, which I live in
Yeah.
Kenya primarily. Um,
Yeah.
I am a mother to a son who
Yeah.
is doing his first semester in college.
Yeah.
Um, Super excited to be on your show and just, share what we got going on.
Awesome. That's good. That's good to know. Okay, you mentioned you've been to many countries as an army veteran, and I guess so. Why Kenya? Of other countries, why Kenya?
Everybody asked me that. Yeah. So out of the 45 countries that I went to outside of the military, I did more
Yeah.
traveling outside of the military than I did inside the military. But
Mhm.
Kenya it wasn't the first African country I went to. I actually went to Ethiopia first. And
Mhm.
I loved Ethiopia. Ethiopia is the mother, if not one of the oldest countries in Africa with the history, right? Uh,
Yes.
but when I landed in Mombasa in 2011 at Moi International Airport, I was like, hold up. This is it for me. We have been
Yeah.
lied to, bamboozled, and hoodwinked. And
Yeah.
so I started going to Kenya before there was this trend everybody
Mhm.
has going on YouTube now. Go to Kenya, go to Kenya. I was going to
Yeah.
Kenya before it was a trend and people were calling me crazy. Like, why are you going to
Yeah.
Africa? Why are you going to Africa? Well, the reason why I fell in love with Kenya is the people.
No.
The first day that I landed, we get off of the flight. It was 1 a.m. I think I flew with Ethiopia Airlines. We were greeted by my adopted family. Shout out to James Mlawasi and his family from Mombasa, Bamboo. And we went straight from the airport to Bob's Place. Any Kenyans that know Niali area and know Mombasa back in the day, they know Bob's Place was the spot to go to party. And when I went there, all the Kenyans just greeted me and was like, welcome, you home. And that was it. I fell in love with Kenya because of the people.
Are they the ones who gave you the name Wakesho? I'm just asking.
Yes, my adopted family, my see his father is Taita and his mother's Lua. And we met in Afghanistan actually in 2011. And he is the reason why I went to Kenya. I had never met a Kenyan a day in my life in the States. And in fact, before this, I didn't know where Kenya was at on the map. I couldn't tell you if it was East Africa, West Africa. You hear about it when you're in the States, but you don't really know, right? You hear about Swahili, but you don't know what that is. You hear about all these things until I met my first Kenyan. That's when I really was introduced, and he was so cool. He was the reason why I got a better job in Afghanistan. He helped me get a better job in Afghanistan, and we immediately clicked, and he became my brother. And so he was telling me about Kenya, and I was like, man, I want to go to Africa. I want to go to Kenya. He was like, yeah, okay. So I went ahead and bought my ticket. And 2 weeks later, I came back to him. I said, we going to Kenya. He was like, what? He was like, you bought a ticket? I was like, yeah, I bought my ticket. So let's go. And when we got there, the first trip, he named myself and my best friend at the time. They gave us our names. And so the mother named me Wakesho Akini. So a Taita and a Lua name. But here's the irony of this. 9 years later, after me going to Kenya for 9 years, my family did our DNA. We came back, watch this, 27.7% Kenyan and of the Lua tribe. So I'm actually Lua. Yeah, it's crazy.
So let me ask this, Wakesho. Now that you're talking about culture and you coming as an African American, how would you relate it, the culture shocks? Because I do have to, there must have been some culture shocks. And for even the other Americans, African Americans who are coming in, what are some of the culture shocks that probably someone should be prepared for?
Right. So as you may know, we've been bringing African Americans to Kenya since 2018. And we brought well over 200 African Americans in the last 6 years. And we've relocated about 25 people to Kenya since 2022. Just this year, we relocated 4 new families to Kenya from May until now. And so what I saw my first trip was everybody was Black. You know, in America, the majorities are Mzungus, right? And so when you go to a country where everyone is Black, and not because everybody was Black, but everybody in charge was Black. You know what I mean? Everybody that's on the TV is Black. The police officer is Black. The president is Black. The you know, the healthcare system is Black. The cartoons on the TV is Black. That you don't realize how embedded racial tension is here in the United States until you go to a country like Kenya and everyone is the same. And you're not, you don't stick out like a sore thumb. Nobody is staring at you. Everyone assumes you're Kenyan, even when you speak, because Kenyans have a large diaspora. They just think that you're a part of the diaspora and you're visiting home. But nobody would think that I'm African American until I have to completely say 2 or 3 times, no, I am actually from America, born and raised. My entire lineage is American.
So for the Black American family probably in the States who are thinking about coming to Africa, they're interested in coming to Africa, they haven't made that jump. What did you tell them? Because I can imagine the sort of images they have around Kenya and Africa in general, But what would be the advice to them? What did you tell them? And probably what are the issues they're facing them? They're making them not make the jump.
Right. So one of the things that we saw was education, just educating people around what Africa as a whole. One, most African Americans kind of group Africa as one country, and it's not. It's an entire continent of 54 countries, and so many different dialects, so many cultural differences, so many tribes. Just Kenya alone has 44 tribes, of which 43 of the tribes are African tribes, excluding the Asian community that just became the 44th tribe a few years ago. And so with me going to Kenya, the first thing that I wanted to do was integrate into the culture without losing my culture, though, right? Because what happens to happen for African Americans, we're always trying to find our way, because we still seem like a lost people. But what we tend to forget is that we've cultivated our own culture on this land. We have so much to offer to what I like to call our cousins. We're more like distant cousins, not sisters and brothers, because there's more like a 700 gap between you and I, right? And the education around what the continent really is, how modern it is, how progressive it is, how rich in culture it is. That's the first thing that I wanted to do. And that's why I started my first company, World Views. And then as we progress and I rebranded with Traverze Culture, we wanted to make our relocation integration program very detail oriented, very intentional, and very educational, and very hands in. So when we relocate our guests to Kenya, we have a 120-day program. We don't just offer you housing, because anybody can get an apartment. That's easy. You can go on Airbnb an apartment, right? But what does it take for you to integrate into the community so that you understand the culture, you understand the language, you understand the system, you understand the justice system, you understand? We go line by line, week by week, walking you through each process before you arrive in Kenya. And about 60 to 90 days, we're with you the entire time, walking you through integrating into the community. All right. And doing that is the most important part, because that's the education piece. We're able to document it and educate people through documentary. Yes.
I'm gonna put before you something that I think is very interesting. I usually find other communities around the world, let me say other races, the Chinese, the French, the British here, you'll find them here, and they usually have in their own community.
Correct.
In their own community. For the African American, how is the community? Is it growing? Is it together? Because I don't know whether people find these as racist, or because even Kenyans in the United States have their own communities, right? But I feel like African Americans here are not necessarily they do not come in necessarily as a community. Do you find that so? Or maybe I could be wrong. Or are you guys trying to put that together?
No, I agree with you 100%. I've been doing this for a while, and I've tried to bring us together in Kenya. It didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work out. We are all on our separate pages, which is ridiculous. Every community is able to move to another country and come together. African Americans are in Kenya, and for some reason, we just can't get it right. So what I will say is that I hope that, because we're still a very small minority in Kenya, and I hope that we're able to work together so that we are able to prove to you all that we have some type of value to bring to the table. You know, you can't move to somebody's country And I mean, you can, but if it's a group of us, it's better for us to work together so that we can work with local Kenyans, so that we can also prove the value in working with us. Us doing separate projects makes no sense. It actually makes us look, incompetent, to be quite frank. And you brought it up, so I'm glad you brought it up. It's a huge problem, and I hope that we're able to work together. But until then, Traverse Culture will continue to do the business that we're doing, serving the people and operating above board with integrity, and making sure that we're not leading people and setting them up for failure, because I'm seeing that is happening a lot with some African Americans who are telling people to relocate to Kenya, and it's not working out. So yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. On that note, that you're saying the African American community, what do you think ideally would be the role of the African American community if it gets together? What do you think is that important role they can actually bring in to Kenya, to a country like this? What is that role that you feel in future, if we get it right, this is what we'd actually be able to do?
Right. So what happens is a lot of African Americans are Americans at the end of the day, right? And so when they are relocating and they're saying, come to Kenya, come together, they really don't care about the Kenyans. It's about what we can get from Kenya. If you listen, it's always like, y'all need to move here. This is happening. And you never hear anybody talk about how do we work collectively with Kenyans. You move into these people country, right? And I had to learn that too, because essentially we're capitalist. Kenyans are socialist. You're not capitalist, you're social, so you're more community. Americans are capitalists. And so once I understood that I am a capitalist, I had to change the mindset and approach it from a conscious capitalist mindset, meaning that I'm not going to change overnight who I am as an American, but I can identify ways to work side by side my Kenyan counterparts. This is the way that you prove the added value. Now, what are we bringing to the table? We're bringing at least 700 years worth of data, 700 years worth of knowledge, 700 years worth of expertise. What do you bring to the table? 700 years of culture, 700 years of knowledge, 700 years of richness. You see what I'm saying? But you also are in your own country, where you own your own land, where you have your own language, where you have your own food. And so you have something we need, and we have something that you can use. And so the approach should be from a collective mindset, not what the American can get from the Kenyan, and the Kenyan gets nothing. So that is the approach that Traverse Culture takes in regards to the added value that an African American based company that does business in Kenya can bring to the table.
Awesome. I really like what you say. So, give me a taste of your what would be like a day to day for an expat, an African American expat for. I've seen you have these offers for 6 days. I think 6 days, 7 days, and 12 days. I think.
Yes.
So, what does that really look like for the 7 day or 12? Just in general, just to get a little bit of what that looks like.
Yeah, so the basis or the nucleus of our company is a travel company, a travel concierge company. Black folks don't know what concierge until you actually experience our travel experience. And when I tell you we're the best in Kenya, we are, and that's just that, right? So for a 7 day, typically what we specialize in group travel, but we also do individual traveling, customized tours. So if you were to come to us, like we have a client right now that wants to customize our 7 day tour. I just did a corporate travel tour for a client that is interested in doing business in Kenya, buying land, and open up a manufacturing company. So we took our 7 day tour and added those corporate business components of the trip. But let's just go with our regular 7 day leisure experience. We don't sell vacations. We sell experiences. Okay. So When you arrive in Kenya, we do, no, before that, before you even arrive in Kenya, we do at least 6 Zoom calls so that you can prepare for your visit to Kenya. And we equip you with so much information. By the time you get to Kenya, all you have to do is show up. Now, all of our trips are all inclusive. International flight, hotels, we only do 4-star, 5-star hotels. All of your transportation, all of your meals, all of your excursions, your immigration, all of the service fees, everything is included in one price, no hidden fees. All you have to do is show up. When our guests arrive at JKI, we always have our signature welcome ceremony to welcome our guests to Kenya with the dancers. And we make sure that if it's it's always a long flight, we also want to make sure that we get you something to eat on arrival. That's that concierge piece that a lot of people don't think about when you're taking care of your clients. At the end of the day, these are clients, these are guests coming into a country for the first time, and you want to make sure that their arrival is hassle-free and they are in comfort. And so we take them from the airport straight to their hotel where they're already checked into their hotel. They don't have to wait around in the lobby. They already have their key. They already have their debit card for their voucher for their food while they're there. And we give them their gift bags and they're on with to their rooms. Over the course of the next 7 days, we do a signature naming ceremony with the Nubian people of Kibera. Shout out to Kibra. We also do a humanitarian day in Kibra again, where we support a primary school that is ran and owned by Kibra, and we're the only Black-owned company to support this school. We also do, the national, the Nairobi National Park. We do the giraffe. So we do the Day of Animals, but we're really into cultural immersion. We do Bomas of Kenya. We do, what else do we normally go to Mombasa as well, and we do Old Mombasa and teach them about the history of Old Mombasa. We do a day trip to Diani. We stay at a 5-star resort in North Mombasa. I mean, it's filled with so much information, so much to do. By the time you finish our 7-day tour, you're going to want to extend for some more days.
Awesome. I'm going to put you on the spot. 2 questions, okay. There must be businesses which you or African Americans can spot. There must be gaps here. Maybe you guys are seeing, African American are seeing, and you like to tell them, hey, there's something here probably someone you can do, right? That's the first question you answer. And for home businesses, Kenyan local businesses like our realtors like us, what sort of partnerships does Traverse Culture offer so that we can also be able, as locals, be able to integrate with your businesses as well?
Absolutely.
So those are 2 questions. Right?
Oh, brilliant. So I'll start off with the real estate piece. Because we have such a strong relocation program, we are still building our vendor list to bring on realtors and other projects for rental, furnished and non-furnished development. And then we're also going to be developing next year. We did put our development on hold for the record. But we will be relaunching sometime next year. So I will be keeping everybody posted on that. But in the meanwhile, we're still relocating people. And then the next thing is medical tourism. We're
gonna talk about that.
Okay. So then you ask, what are some of the opportunities for African Americans? Well, we do help people open up their businesses in Kenya, and we assist them with business development in industries such as the healthcare, education, tourism, entertainment, manufacturing, and farming, agriculture. All right. Wow. Those are the main sectors that we do feasibility studies, and we provide information for our clients. We have a client right now that just joined our membership business hub for cybersecurity. And so we provide them every month with a newsletter about the industry in Kenya regarding cybersecurity. And then as the person progress and want to move forward with opening up a business, we do a risk assessment, we do feasibility study, on the ground logistics management, HR management, B2B meetings, and government to government connections. I mean, there's so many things that you can take advantage of through the program, but those are some of the things that we advise African Americans on in terms of business development in Kenya.
Awesome, awesome. Let's now go to the medical tourism. So first, two questions. So I'm assuming, because this is one of the questions that I really get. How is the healthcare system in Kenya from expats? So they usually ask, Gideon, I'm a retiree. Is there any healthcare system in Kenya? But now I'm assuming that there is medical tourism. I'm thinking that part of the medical or hospitals is there. So what's that about? Are there hospitals in Nairobi, Kenya, or what's the healthcare system? What does it look like for an expert who is out there?
I am so excited about this medical tourism product that we have. We had the privilege to be contracted with a huge corporation out of the United States that will be sending people to us to do medical tourism inbound to Kenya. So that's number one. Number two, yes, Kenya has some of the best health care facilities in Africa. If you didn't know, now you're going to know that Kenya has the second best health care system in Africa behind South Africa. All right.
Yeah.
State-of-the-art facilities. They have at least 5 top-tier hospitals in Nairobi. I will start off with Aga Khan, the Nairobi Hospital, MP Shah, AAR, and the last one it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember. But if you want to know more, you can go to our YouTube channel. I have a video talking about medical tourism. But we are in partnership with the Nairobi Hospital. Shout out to Nairobi Hospital. I love Nairobi Hospital. But let me just give you a backstory. And I just posted this video on my Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, where I had to go to the hospital in 2019 in Kenya. I sprained my knee and my ankle. And my team at the time took me to MP Shah. And I was completely blown away. When we went into the hospital, I immediately was taken up to do my registration, which was only $20. $20. Then they took me to the back and they asked me how much pain I was in. From 1 to 10, I said 8. They gave me a shot for the pain. Pain went away. I sat in the emergency room for maybe 30 minutes. The doctor came and got me and explained what the next step was going to be. We're going to take you to the x-ray room where they had state-of-the-art equipment. They put me on the table. They took my x-ray. They saw, and I wish I have the x-rays with me, but it's upstairs. I wish I had it with me to show y'all. Let me make sure I don't have it. But they took my x-rays. They saw that I sprained my knee and my ankle. They prescribed me prescriptions. When I was released, I got my x-rays in hand. They gave me my x-ray in hand. This doesn't happen in the States unless you request it. They do not give you your x-rays. So I was in the hospital for less than 2 hours. I got pain medicine. I got registered, x-rayed, and Medicaids to help the swelling and inflammation. It only cost me $70 out of pocket. Now, I just went to the hospital 2 months ago here in the States. I went in there for an hour. They did an x-ray. They gave me some meds, IV, and they did my labs. That was 6,000 USD.
How much did you say?
6,000 USD for an hour visit.
Oh, now I really understand the medical tourism part. I now that really makes sense.
The medical tourism part, and this is not a new theory. Medical tourism has been around for a while. We have about 1,000 hospitals that participate in medical tourism around the world, and Traverse Culture just became a certified medical tourism agency, by the way. Now, why most people use medical tourism is because it cuts the cost by 40 to 70%. You get better medical health care, better customer service at a fraction of the price and the fraction of the time. Typically, if someone in the US need a knee surgery, it can take them from 3 to 12 months before they can get the surgery done. What happens between that time frame? You're on opioids, which creates another problem, right? You're in pain most of the time, so you're depressed. Your mental health is it becomes a problem, right? And then by the time you get the surgery, just the knee surgery, the average price in America, just the knee surgery is 30,000 USD. Now, if you were to go through our medical tourism program, a knee surgery in Kenya starts at $6,000.
Okay. Wow, that's some of the things that I'm really surprised for that sort of information in terms. Actually, that would lead me to the next question. For couples retirees, right? If you're looking at retirees in the America, they have probably, I wanted to say an income. I don't know how I can say in an income or they're on what is it? I don't know, pension
like
or something.
45 grand. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is Kenya a good option for them to just come and invest and leave? Would you say that would be possible for them?
Absolutely. Most of our clients are retirees thus far. We've had young retirees. Our youngest person we relocated this year was 32, but she's retired out of the military, right? And so it's an excellent place for anyone to retire in what age, it doesn't matter. But having that health care program embedded into our relocation services, let me tell you, all of our clients have nothing but the best thing to say about the healthcare private sector. Now, the public sector, I understand that most Kenyans have the same complaints as we do in the States. They can't afford it. They can't afford it, right? But you guys have Kenyatta University is one of the best hospitals in the private sector in Africa. You guys have some of the best doctors. In fact, MP and Aga Khan, when they have specialty procedures, they pull the doctors from Kenyatta University Hospital. So while the private sector is still building itself, medical tourism is going to impact the healthcare system in Kenya tremendously. It's not only going to create more jobs for local Kenyans, but it's also going to put money back into the healthcare system so that it can pour it back into the public healthcare systems for local Kenyans who cannot afford private sector healthcare. But for an expat, private sector healthcare is affordable. I mean, if you're paying $70 out of pocket, forget about it, versus $6,000 in the States, you don't even need insurance to get healthcare in Kenya. You can pay that out of pocket. But let's talk about insurance. We offer health insurance with local companies in Kenya. We're partnered with CIC and two other healthcare providers, which I cannot remember on the top of my mind because my team run the show in Kenya, okay? But CIC, you can get a healthcare plan for a family of 5, which we've already done, without a KRA pin. And you can get a health insurance with CIC for as little as $30 a month for a family of 5. Or you can pay the entire premium. That's about $1,900 for 5 people with 3 million Kenyan shilling of coverage for procedures, dental, accidental, anything is covered up to 3 million Kenyan shillings. That's about, what's 3 million?
$24,000 thereabout.
About 24, yep, 24 to $30,000.
Yeah.
There is no procedure in Kenya other than spinal cord procedure.
Yeah.
That's over 15,000. And it'll be 15,000 USD, and that includes the lab, the surgery, the medicine, the everything. So yeah, I can go on and on about it. Yeah.
I'm seeing a comment by the Rich Life Richard saying actually the healthcare does provide more value for money than the healthcare. We probably Kenya don't know that. Probably you guys know more than that. We know. So okay, I want us to talk about a certain topic that I'm really, really passionate about: real estate.
Yes.
Real estate.
Yeah.
A lot of my clients from the diaspora as well, they're really interested in real estate. What are your feelings around, not even feelings, what is the state of real estate? Because I usually tell them it's really popping and they're like, you're just saying that so that you can sell us to us. But really, as from an African American who is living here, how does that look like in there?
Yeah, now the real estate industry in Kenya is popping. It's been on an incline for the past 3 to 5 years in regards to attracting foreign investors. You're seeing the Somalian community killing it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, shout out to my Somalian friends in Kenya. They're doing some great work out there. But Kenyans are definitely diversifying their real estate portfolio. One of the things that is more interested in Kenya is land proposition and acquisition of land in Kenya, and that you do have options in actually ownership as an expat, as a foreigner, to obtain land through leasehold, which Kenyans and foreigners can get leasehold land. It's only leasehold land because the government is taxing it, right? And then your freehold land is more of that community, tribal family land, almost heirs land here in the U.S. So when you talk about the real estate, I'm telling you, from the high rises in Kilimani and Leviton to the bungalows and masonettes in Karen and Runda, to the beautiful communities that they're building off of Kiambu and in Kiambu County. Even you're looking at beautiful real estate coming up in Machakos. Forget about it. Even where we're going to be building in Thika, only about 45, 50 minutes outside of Nairobi. Real estate is where you want to go in terms of creating generational wealth. You definitely want to create asset protection and put it in a trust, which you can do locally. Shout out to Diaspora Freedom Initiative. They do the legal portion of protecting your assets right there in Kenya. So shout out to them. We hope to be working with them as we move along with our real estate project. But working with local Kenyans in terms of real estate is imperative because they know the scenery. They know the scenery. They know when you're getting ripped off. They know when you're being overpriced. They know this is not the best area for you to invest or the best time to invest. They can really advise you. And I've leaned on even my partnerships with my with my vendors and my team to give my clients the best advice in terms of real estate. But real estate in Kenya, even if you're just renting a place, I mean, you can rent a place in Runda right now as low as a townhouse, as low as $1,000 unfurnished, moderate, nice. I mean, it's only 3 years old, a development in Runda. I mean, something like gated community, something like that in the States would run you every bit of $2,000 to $3,000 a month. And it's not going to be as nice. It's not going to be as friendly and modern than what you can get right there in Kenya.
You know what? I'm gonna just put out myself and now you're talking about real estate. For those guys who are interested and you want to get a local guide here in Kenya, I'm raising my hand because I feel like even the prices the experts are being given actually a little bit higher, and you know that happens a lot.
Yeah.
It really helps you to go with a local person because outrightly I can tell you that you're being actually scammed.
That's true.
Some of the places you're being told to come and live are not livable places. So it's very easy for us, for someone like me. Just within an instance, you can tell me, and I'll tell you that's not even a good place, or that's very high, or they're scamming you. So enough of that. Let me ask you something that you are talking about it, and it got a lot of African Americans and even Kenyans really astounded. I don't think astounded is the word. The Dika, what is it, 50 acres of in Dika? What was
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
There was
yeah,
something about that. Somewhere you guys can do like a whole project. How is
yeah.
that coming? Is that still on is it still on?
So we had some changes. I didn't really publicly speak about it as of yet, but I will address it here as much as I can. So
Yeah.
I want to always give thanks and and how much we were grateful of Musée Gitu for allowing us
Yeah.
the opportunity to have access to 40 acres of land. He
Wow.
hadn't given anybody access to that land since 1963. And
Wow.
so for him to even just have a conversation with us, and he's still with us, he's 100 years old. Um,
Yeah.
it was an honor.
Yeah.
However, as we moved through the process, a lot of local Kenyans and descendants of the Mau Mau freedom fighters didn't really like the concept that we were having access to this land.
Hmm.
And in the background, some things were happening, and we decided to gracefully bow out because one, it wouldn't be conducive for Musée and
Yeah.
certainly not conducive for our potential clients.
Oh.
And so we gracefully bowed out of that project
Yeah.
and moved on to another smaller project that we will be doing in Thika, right up the street from Musée
No.
Land. Yeah, it's still in Thika. You actually can see uh, Mount Kilimanjaro even better because it's on the same side as Mount Kilimanjaro. Um,
Yeah.
and we're still about 10 minutes away from Fort T Falls. So the idea is to do customized development, real estate development first, and then we build into the community as we move on. To be very transparent, we
Yeah.
also we also bit off a bit more than we can chew. I
Mm.
think all of us are very eager to do something when we get to, to a new land, and you're like, we can do it. And you're like, no, you can't do all of this and this at the same time. So
Yeah.
I'm saying publicly, we had to scale back a bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
reassess
Yeah.
what we want to do so that we can give our guests and local Kenyans the best product possible. And so
Mhm.
that's where we are with doing the development in Thika.
Thank you. Thank you for that transparency. I really like that. Thank you for that transparency. Yeah, let me ask you, Wakesho, then you personally, right?
Yes.
One of my favorite places in Kenya is actually not in Nairobi. I
Okay.
usually tell people, even experts, there's actually more to Kenya apart from Nairobi. Nairobi is a very good hub, it's modern, but the other places, my personal favorite place is Nanyuki. Have you been to Nanyuki?
Oh yeah, several times. We take our guests to Nanyuki all the time, and
Oh,
we have a good time going up there because you got to go to Mount Kenya, then we go to Thompson Falls. Um,
yeah.
we always stop at the tree trout or the trout tree. Is it?
Yeah.
Yes, the tree trout. And oh my God, if y'all haven't been to that restaurant, it's the best
I
trout.
know.
You haven't? You haven't been or you been?
I've been there, even my wife, she's just looking at me because I took her there. We went there,
Oh,
I think last year, but right. Yes,
oh,
lovely, lovely on the trees, and then you
in
have
the
the
tree.
trees.
Yes,
Yeah,
our
yeah.
guests love it every time we take them. So yes, I've been to Nanyuki. I mean, I can't. I mean, 100. Um, and then even the Choma on the way to Nanyuki when you pass by Juja, is one of my favorite places to go. But I'll tell you, I have two favorite places now that I like
Yeah,
in Kenya.
yeah,
Nairobi is one of my favorite, but excluding Nairobi,
yeah.
I have fell in love with Thika. I love
Really?
Thika town. I love Thika. Is dope as heck. First off,
I've
you
never,
gonna
I
have
was
the best pineapples in your life. in Thika, okay?
Yeah.
But what people don't know, Thika town has some of the best restaurants and lounges you'll ever see, almost better than some of the lounges in Nairobi.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, it's
Then,
okay. Yeah.
huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah, continue. Yes, yes, yes. I'm
Okay.
just saying I'm
And
coming, yes.
yes, and then my second best place where I like to get choma,
Mm-hmm.
Kitengela. The best choma in Kenya, period.
Oh man.
Period.
Kitangala, I'm actually, I'm not, I say the best nyama choma is on your way to Nakuru. This place that is called, I've forgotten the name. You know what, Kikopey. You know Kikopey?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. I love the
You
choma.
talk about where they have all of the vendors there, like they have a row
Yes,
of
yes, yes,
vendors.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now that you're talking about, it's good that you're talking about food because as we know, I think all Africans all over the world, which whatever, we love food. Yeah. We love food.
Yes,
So my
yes.
question is, for African American, I usually have this quarrel with my wife. I usually insist Kenyan food is quite bland. However, we do have other sort of foods, yeah, but it's very healthy. What is some of the foods African American can look for when they come here?
Yeah, I'm glad you were honest about your food because Kenyan food is kind of like bland. I'm so glad you were honest with that. Um, so while I love Kenya, my favorite African food is Liberian food because we
Ah,
just have such a rich connection with Liberia. And
yeah,
I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, of the Gullah Geechee culture. So
yeah,
our food is similar. But what I will say is
yeah.
that Skuma Wiki is
Mm-hmm.
my favorite because we eat collard greens in the States. So
Ah,
Sukuma wiki, which for
yeah,
people in Swahili means stretch through the week, is the
yeah,
same thing as
yeah,
collard greens in the
yeah,
States. Now,
yeah,
if you're African American, it doesn't matter where you're from um in the States.
yeah.
You're going to eat collard greens because we're very
Ah,
diverse. Even though
yeah,
we're one tribe of people, African Americans, we're very
yeah,
diverse as well, depending on where you grow up, right?
yeah,
But no matter where you grew up at, you're going to eat collard greens, and that is our main dish. It's
yeah,
also your main dish, which
yeah,
means we
yeah,
brought it to the Americans,
yeah.
and it's indigenous to East Africa.
Oh,
It's indigenous to East Skuma Wiki is indigenous to East Africa.
yes, it
So
is.
you can follow the food on how we brought it to the States. You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
yeah,
that's one of my favorites. Choma is always going to be Yama Choma is always going to be one of my favorites. I like samosas, chapati. Of course, I can eat chapati with anything.
yeah,
Pilau.
yeah,
And that's you're gonna get the best pilau on the coast. You're not gonna get it no better than on the coast. And then tilapia.
yeah,
Tilapia is a real fish, everybody. It's indigenous to East Africa off the Nile, off the River
yeah,
Nile and Lake
yeah,
Victoria. And
yeah,
so the best tilapia that you'll get, you're going to get it from Kisumu, and
yeah,
you're going to get it from the Lure. And
yeah,
because my DNA came back Lure, and the
yeah,
Lures are Nilords, so the
yeah,
people of the River Nile,
yeah,
the city that I'm from,
yeah.
we're water people, and we're known for seafood in Charleston, South Carolina. So that's crazy that they both connect like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, I've actually had so many of the experts like trying to tell me how much they. I guess as an African American, there is that longing for you to have an attachment to a culture. I would say to see the connection. Why is that so important to African Americans, if I may ask?
What is the question again? I'm sorry.
So I'm saying I find that fascinating. Like African Americans really try to see the connection and trying to see the connection between the foods, the culture. What are some of the things that you think we are actually that sounds like similar? Like those are my far cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, we are the lost children of Africa, the entire
yeah,
continent, right?
yeah,
We are the cousins, your cousins that for at least 700 years have no connection to the continent. So you can imagine when we start coming to the continent and we see foods, we're like, wait a minute, we eat the same food. I'll tell you this story. Once we found out that we were Lul, we got invited to Kisumu in 2021. And I went to Kisumu for the first time. And we got invited to a village in Kisumu. And we were able to go into a musée home, the chief, actually. And they greeted us, and I cried like a baby because I was like, oh my God, this is potentially where my family came from, right? Then they fixed us a little meal. They had tilapia, they had stew chicken, what we call stew chicken, they had ugali, they had kachubari, chapati, the whole nine, right? Well, the stew chicken they brought out looks like the same stew chicken that we cook where I'm from, which is the Gullah Geechee culture in Charleston, South Carolina. So I asked one of the ladies, please explain to me how you guys cook this stew chicken. I just want to hear if you cook it similar to the way we cook it where I'm from in Charleston. The only difference is that you guys use tomato paste as a base. We just use onions. That's it. But we brown it the same way. We put the spices in there. We put the water in there and we let it stew the same way. And the only difference is you eat it with ugali, we eat it with white rice. That's it. Now, another similarity. I am from Charleston, South Carolina. As I said before, we are known as the Gullah Geechee people. The Gullah Geechee corridor starts from St. Augustine, Florida, up to Wilmington, North Carolina. The Gullah Geechee people are people direct descendants of Africa, mainly from Angola, West Africa, and East Africa. We speak a dialect called Gullah. It is broken English that derives from the dialects of Africa and Kiswahili. Now, if you go to Charleston, South Carolina, we're known for basket weaving. Similar to West Africa and East Africa.
Very true. Very true.
Till this day, if you go, we're the only city in the South where you can go to this day and see the basket weaving the same way you do basket weaving in West and East Africa till this day.
That's so fascinating. I've never had someone just say that. Let me just mention these guys who are saying hello. There is Jack Jackson. Hey, Jack Jackson. We are talking with him. Hi to you, German there. Tonio Free. Thank you for joining in. Comment. Do whatever guys do. How am I doing so far, Wakesho?
You're doing great. This is good.
I'm doing great.
Yes.
Kenya also has. I usually also tell people Kenya also has a very big international food scene as well. I'd say that, right? How does that look like for someone who is an expert and who's coming in and would want to do the local dishes, but probably also eat something they are used to? How does that the local international food scene look like?
Listen, Nairobi got every freaking cuisine you could think of. I have a few videos on my TikTok and IG of showcasing some of the restaurants in Kenya. You know, you got Jam Rock. Shout out to Jam Rock, Jamaican restaurant.
I was there actually just the 2 days before. I was just there.
Yeah. I love Jam Rock.
Barbecue and rice.
Yes, the best Jamaican food in Nairobi, Kenya, bar none. Matter of fact, some of the best Jamaican food I've ever had, and I've been to Jamaica 1,000 times. That was my first love. Jamaica was my first love, and that's the first place that I did international business, where I own 8 ATM machines in Kingston, Jamaica. So shout out to Jamaica. Shout out to Jam Rock. So you got Jam Rock restaurant. You got Mexican food in Kenya. You got Brazilian steakhouses in Kenya. You got Japanese food, Korean food. I went to a Korean freaking restaurant in Nairobi in Westlands. Italian food. Anything you could think of except African American soul food. And I'm going to make sure
Oh,
that I get somebody to open up a company in Kenya to do some soul food. Yes.
yeah, I've actually had so many people talk about the African American food. I've never seen it really. I do have actually a sister in the States. He tries to show me some of the food, but I can't still get it. We need an African American hotel here in
I
Kenya.
will when I return. I'm just waiting to
Yeah,
well, my son is now moving up this way, so I had to kind of delay me moving to Kenya permanently. And I have my house on up for sale right now. And so
wow.
when I get there,
Yeah,
now I cooked
yeah.
for my team and some of my Kenyan friends last year. I cooked them
All
some
right.
oxtails. I cooked them what
Mhm.
we call hop and john. It's close to pilau, but the way we do it is a little
Okay.
different. I cooked them collard
Yeah,
greens, which is our way to do skuma wiki. I cooked them stewed
yeah,
chicken. I cooked them shrimp and grits. When I
yeah,
come to Kenya,
yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
invite you because I'm gonna have a housewarming new
yeah,
house in Kenya, and I'm going to
yeah.
cook, and you're going to have some African American soul food.
Yeah, my wife is listening. I'm like, we're going together.
Yes,
So
yes, she's welcome. Karibu, karibu.
I actually told guys I'll keep the interview under 1 hour. I think I'm 4 minutes to 9 here in
Okay.
Kenya.
Yes.
Um, Wakesho, as you wrap up, what's your parting shot to guys who are listening and just anything, just wrap it up for us.
Okay. First, I want to say thank you for having me. This was really, really fun. And
Yeah.
if anybody is interested in doing real estate, you need to check him out. First off, we hope to work with you as well as we build our vendor list as well. And you can
Yeah.
connect with my team on the ground. Um, I also want to say that if you are looking to relocate to Kenya and you are looking for a business where you can go to a website and
Yeah.
book your consultations. You can actually
Yeah.
read about the services that we provide. You can Google our company and look up our track record. Please go to Traverse or Tverse.com. We offer
Yeah.
relocation assistance, which is a 120-day integration relocation program. We offer travel. We offer a 7-day or a 12-day tour to Kenya through us. We offer medical tourism if you are interested in getting any procedures done, such as knee surgery, hip surgery, gastro bypass, gastro sleeve, IVF, anything.
Yeah.
We have great partnerships with the top tier hospitals in Kenya to provide you the best healthcare you can get. And then we also working towards doing real estate development if you're interested in purchasing land and building and working with us. But check us out on tverse.com. Check us out on YouTube. We do have a YouTube page with a version of information. Thank you. We just relaunched 2 months ago and we hit 1,000 subscribers 2 weeks ago. So shout out to YouTube and shout out to you for having me on your platform.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for coming in and just having a talk with us and enlightening us. For those who are watching, my name is Gideon. Just maybe someone might not know actually. My name is Gideon, and for those who are looking for real estate or even accommodation, you can, and you're looking for, especially for a local guide or a local person just to give you a guide. I'm here. You can check out I'll leave my information on the description. You can reach me out. I'll also put my number on top of on the what is the texting place, and you can check it out there. I want to thank you to my wife who has been the technical person. That's the person who's been
Yes,
here directing me. She's got. Can you want to say hi? She's very shy, but thank you to her.
Asante, Asante.
Yeah, it's been good. Thank you so much, Akesha. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, all right.
Kwa heri.
Akwaheri. So, guys, that's it. That was a question. It's been a pleasure meeting you guys. Thank you so much for listening, for the comments. Sorry, I guess there's something someone should say. Thank you to all of them. Learning is on the job. Thank you so much, Jamman, Jack Jackson. We'll keep on talking with you. The Rich Life. Thank you so much. You came on yesterday. Thank you so much, guys. That was a pleasure. I had said I'll keep this under an hour. It's 5:59 minutes. Going to 60 minutes, and that would be a wrap for it for me. Thank you so much for your support. Subscribe. And for those guys who are looking for accommodation or a local guide in Nairobi, Gideon is their name. Thank you so much and see you next time. Thank you.